Good morning, cool cats. It is a cloudy 83 outside here in the Texas Bayou. Um, Cloudy meaning raining on this day that it wasn't supposed to rain. It's just the way things are here. If you figure the weather out, the weather changes. It's like I'd say it's an unspoken rule, but it's kind of a spoken rule, to tell the truth. So welcome back to my art sesh, my live stream procreating, um, which sounds like it should be on OnlyFans, not YouTube, right? I am Dax. I'm an independent artist and professional GM on the side, and member of the Battle Barge crew, which is an annual tabletop gaming cruise. This year it'll be rolling out September 26th, my B-Day. And the cruise predominantly uses Warhammer 40k rules, which is a age-old game by Games Workshop, easily the most popular tabletop game in the world, um, and pretty standard hobby in the UK now, actually. Loved by people like Henry Cavill and what's Spider-Man's name? The Spider-Man Tom. Holland. That's it. So the character that we're working on these last few days is a character from... What is up, Husk? I am doing all right. How are you? The character we've been working on the past couple of days is a Chaos Astartes, Chaos Space Marine. You've probably heard the term before, as you've probably heard the term Grimdark. Both terms associated with Warhammer 40k itself. And the Chaos Marines, Chaos Astartes, are the premier bad guys, the scariest of bad guys in the Warhammer 40k universe. And the current live stream Battle Barge Wrath and Glory campaign, Wrath and Glory being a TTRPG based in the Warhammer 40k system, the characters are all Chaos Astartes, and this is one of them. So this is going to be for a digital token for him. What's up, Carrie? He actually got a preview of it last night. He was pleased, which makes me pleased. The player, not the Marine. So as I said, I'm an independent artist. I professionally GM on the side as well. I am the GM for the Battle Barge. So if you go to Battle Barge this year, you're playing Wrath and Glory, you'll see me. We can start working on your character now because I've already started writing the campaign. And the event.cruises does more than just the Battle Barge. They have multiple themed cruises, one of which is going on as we speak, called D20 Cruise, which you can probably guess what that deals with, right? That is the big TTRPG cruise, predominantly Dungeons and Dragons, of course. I may sound a little harsh with my of course. That's just because Hasbro does not make me happy right now. For a good while now. But they've also got Event Cruises also has a cosplay and anime cruise. Yeah, so they probably got something to suit you. Look them up. Their link is in the /our link is in the description, along with some of my info. Feel free to follow me. I network well. Not a huge fan of social media, but I do understand that I have to use it. Today's top 5 is going to be my personal favorite Marvel characters of all time. I I almost said superheroes, but I wanted to limit it a little bit more. I did not limit Marvel down, so there will be a difference between MCU characters and their comic book equivalents, I'm sure, because I grew up on the comic books, although I like a lot of the MCU. A lot of the MCU, not all of the MCU. And as always, if you have Procreate questions, if you need help from me procreating, let me know in the comments or chat. If you have a top 5 that you want to see, let me know in the comments or chat. If you'd like to let me know your top 5, let me know in the comments and chat. People tend to anyway, which is good. I like it. Uh, where we are at right now on this piece is I started line art. I think I actually started the line art day before yesterday. And I've been doing what I call my detail phase along with my line art phase. I usually have 4 phases, but I've combined the middle 2, as I do a lot of times. So we're actually almost done with the line art. If you're not familiar with 40K, you probably don't know that this thing in the Chaos Marines grasp here is a Tyranid. This is what is called a Tyranid Hormigaunt. In their campaign, they're dealing with a bunch of Tyranids right now. The Tyranids that they're dealing with are water-based. I've focused on and created a bunch of water-based Tyranids, which this guy is obviously not water-based. He doesn't look like, if you've seen the cover that I made for the campaign, he doesn't resemble the Tyranids on the cover. But maybe I know stuff that you don't know. Maybe I know stuff they don't know. You don't know. But I also tend to make my stuff available for people to use. Um, so, in not having him water-based, if someone was to want to use this token for their own character, it might fit well / better in their campaign. See what I mean? No matter what I'm dealing with, I like to recycle. Aquatic nids are, well, so if you think about it, there's really, to a Tyranid, there's no difference between aquatic nids and land nids and air nids. Like, to a Tyranid, a gargoyle isn't weird. Um, and to us, the only reason a gargoyle isn't weird is because we're so accustomed to them. But the way the Tyranids work, and this we'll break it down for the viewers. Tyranids are they're biological hive, is what they are. They're a hive mind species that is extremely varied because the hive mind pushes out forms based on the environment and even the enemies. I say enemies. They don't really have enemies. They just have food. If you are biological, then you are food to a Tyranid. And all of the Tyranid technology is also biology based. So if they're shooting you with a gun, then the gun is biological. It's alive. If not, a direct extension of themselves. So the water nids, I mean, they've got, harpoon-like bio guns and stuff like that. Um, they've got fins, they've got flippers, they've got paddles, they've got, crustacean claws and chitin. Um, oh, which Freud was right. That had me doing chitinous or crustacean chitinous bumps there. So if you're on a water planet, which is what the planet that is the center point of the narrative for the Battle Barge takes place on, Equinor is a water planet, um, then the majority of the Tyranids are going to be aquatic nids because the majority of the planet is aquatic. Um, yeah, but yeah, they already fought. They fought an aquatic lictor. They fought a bunch of aquatic Tormagants and an aquatic Turvagon. And I will be doing, you'll probably see me doing some tokens for those as well. I'm going to do aquatic nid tokens. That's one reason. That's another reason why I didn't focus on this being an aquatic nid. I'll just have separate ones. The cover work, though, the cover artwork for the campaign, if you've seen it, though, it's got aquatic nids on it already. That's already done. So yeah, this is just a whole lot of making things pretty. Or, in these guys' cases, pretty ugly. Pretty ugly. For my line art, and I know that sketch is technically line art, I make a distinguishment between the two because I don't like calling digital lines inking. The second phase I just refer to as the line art phase because it is the line art that I save. I don't save my sketches most of the time. It's extremely rare. Um, so when I'm doing my line art, my inking, I use the calligraphy brush set, not the inking brush set in Procreate. There is a distinction. You've got calligraphy and you've got inking. If I use inking, I will use, where is it? Studio Pen, right there. I'll use that right there. But calligraphy, I use the script pen. And yes, you can modify it. That's what that screen was. Um, And the cool thing about because I pretty much say this every episode, the cool thing about the Apple Pencil and Procreate is the Apple Pencil is pressure sensitive, which means if you press down harder, you get thicker, darker lines. So in essence, it's just about like using an actual pen. It's very cool and convenient. Makes me happy inside, sometimes happy outside, depending on what I'm drawing or watching or listening to or who I'm with. And I'm also adding dings because Tyranids are biological, therefore, ergo, vis-a-vis, their forms will not be void of wrinkles and bumps, and my dog is climbing all over the cords. And since Chaos Marines can be literal millions of years, not millions, nope, millennia, literal millennia years old, and wear the same armor for the entirety, their armor will pick up dings and um, damages and malformations and possession and rot and all manner of chaosification. So, and a lot of this is not even going to show up on the token. He's not going to be able to tell that I just dinged the hell out of that Ormagon. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this piece. For some reason, I really wanted this piece to zing. It's just because his player's such a cool guy. Right? Right. Like seriously, if you've been here for the duration of this entire piece, I put way too much detail on this piece. I kind of did that with the Chaos, different Chaos. I kind of did that with the Chaos Beast I did the other day as well, though. Um, they got more than their money's worth. It was only supposed to be a quarter page, but like we went all out so I could show you some cool tricks. And that's the benefit for sticking around and hanging with me, as I show you cool tricks, man. And talk about top fives, which I'm not talking about. Top five Marvel characters. I already know what my number one is. I could throw it up there right now and not even think about it. So I'll go ahead and give y'all a shot at the whole thing while I do that. Without a doubt, unequivocally, my favorite Marvel character of all time is the magnificent Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner. The character's so cool, he made me take 2 years of German. Plus, there used to be a very sizable German-speaking uh, population in Texas. Not so much now. Which is fine, because I can really only remember how to ask where the bathroom is in German. But if I ever go to Germany, I got that covered. Starting at 2, it's going to get tricky. But 2 is I probably know who 2 is also. The only problem with my number 2, make your jokes. The only problem with my number 2 is my number 2 has been regurgitated so much that he just rarely gets done right. Let me tell you. I'm going to go ahead and put him up there because I have faith that everybody has a general idea. You're going to start at the bottom? Well, of course you are, dear. And definitely have to specify this one. So, starting in junior high, everyone in school was actually calling me Spider-Man. Some of that was because I loved comic books, and some of that was because I was the premier dodgeballer. If we played dodgeball, that was the one and only time. Really? Fault Zone. You're gonna have to explain that one. Sorry. So anyway, yeah. So my nickname starting in junior high was Spider-Man. Some of it was because, like I said, of the comics. Some of it was because of dodgeball. Um, I was by no means popular in junior high school at all. But relationships are transactional in the U.S., aren't they? So um, people understood that if we're playing dodgeball, Dax is the guy you want. Spider-Man's the guy you want. And that's where that ended. But people kept calling me Spider-Man throughout my life, whether they went to school with me or not, for various reasons. Um, when I worked in the UPS warehouse, they called me Spider-Man. Um, I was the one that crawled up in the rafters and machines to clear jams and all that jazz. Yo, I ain't playing with you. You're gonna have to explain this whole fault zone thing. Your favorite Marvel character is Fault Zone. so thrown off by that. So Peter Parker, yeah. So yeah, there's shit tons of Peter Parkers out there, and people rarely get it right. Hell, Disney spent the entire last Spider-Man film trying to re-Peter Parker their Peter Parker because their Peter Parker wasn't Peter Parker, which is not an exaggeration. The entire movie was them trying to make their character Peter Parker more like Peter Parker, which is not that Tom Holland did bad with what he had, but MJ wasn't MJ, Peter Parker wasn't Peter Parker, and for some reason, another Spider-Man's best friend from a different universe was his best friend in that one. It's really fucking weird, the choices they make sometimes. They being people who steal other people's creations. That only sounds spiteful because it was spiteful. So, yeah, I'm putting him up there because I have faith that people understand what Peter Parker is supposed to be. Um, I'm gonna choose to believe, because that's what belief is, it's a choice. I want to choose to believe that if someone's picking a fight about Peter Parker not being represented correctly, it's just because they want to pick a fight. That's what I'm going to choose to believe. I I have nothing bad to say about the Spider-Verse films, though, at all. I was referring specifically to MCU. I think the Spider-Verse films were movies created by fans to show appreciation to the IP, and they were fantastic. They are fantastic. I've heard the new one has some hang-ups, but I hope it gets out okay because I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, yeah. Love the Spider-Verse films and the soundtracks. Consequently, if you haven't listened to the soundtracks for the Spider-Verse films, you should. They're fabu. Uh, Remy's probably in here somewhere. Although there's been so much bad. There's been so much more bad Remy than good Remy lately. Kind of ruins the good Remy. Growing up, I was in love with Storm and Rogue. My goodness. Loved them so much. You have to understand, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I had Chris Claremont writing. I just really loved her story, The Russian Ballet, and she looked badass. She was vengeful. I remember her being one of my favorites, so I felt like she deserved a spot just for nostalgic sake. I don't think that that's nostalgia. It can't be remembered. I mean, we're talking about pretty recent. I don't know that you can justify a recent character as nostalgic. But whatever. You probably don't have the scope of Marvel that I have. Marvel characters were my only friends growing up. Oh man, Doom. Doom is probably in there. Magneto's probably in there. This is a lot harder than I thought. There's just so many good ones. I gotta put Eric in there. Okay. Gotta put Eric in here. So he does not really change much. People are not silly enough. Um, That being said, his name has changed a couple of times. Okay. So, everybody loves Magneto. I don't even want to hear arguments. Everybody fucking loves Magneto. Now, I think I can say, no matter if we're talking about films or comics, they don't really change Magneto. I think that's a cardinal MC or Marvel rule. Like there's a cardinal DC rule that you don't fuck with Lois Lane. I think that there's a cardinal Marvel rule where you don't fuck with Magneto. Because anybody who knows anything when dealing with Marvel, Magneto is the perfect villain because he's not a villain. He's really not. The more you think about Magneto, the more he makes sense. How else do you say it? Magneto's right. Now, the X-Men started as how did Ryan Reynolds put it? A racial, anti-racist propaganda from the '60s, something like that. But it was also a fact. It was a fact of life at the time. So yeah, metaphor. So the X-Men are indeed still a metaphor for acceptance. That's been the X-Men's whole thing. Their whole thing has always been acceptance. 100%. And so is Magneto's. Magneto just reached the point of by force. So for Magneto's entire life, he saw oppression by the majority for the minority, no matter what the minority was. So as soon as someone realized that they had a majority in something, they oppressed someone else who wasn't part of the majority in that thing for being the majority, for being different. Sound familiar? Because that's what humans do oh so well, and Magneto knows this. And Magneto and Charles are opposite sides of the same fucking coin. Magneto enforces acceptance, where Charles promotes, um, only promotes and hopes for acceptance. Uh, the older you get, the more you realize how wrong, okay, it's a harsh word, how dangerous, how much more dangerous Charles' version is, because the paradox of tolerance is that you can't tolerate the intolerable. You can't tolerate those who can't tolerate. So that's the paradox of tolerance. Works for, I mean, it's the same thing. Acceptance and tolerance is the same thing. So you cannot accept those who are not accepting. That's the point. That's the point of the X-Men. So the X-Men were formed to protect, um, regardless of what you were. They protected the humans because the humans were not as strong. They were not as capable of protecting themselves, even though the humans shunned them. So Magneto tried to force tolerance on the humans that were unaccepting. And he refused to save them from anything, much less themselves. So as you get older, you realize that, Charles' way is actually less effective because humans are precisely what Eric says they are. So Eric's right about humans, therefore Charles' way can't be the best way. That's what that boils down to. So Eric Lencher, Eric Magnus, fantastic character. One of Marvel's best. Uh, might actually be Marvel's best character, except maybe Peter. Not personal opinion. If I were to pick who I think was Marvel's best character, it'd probably be Peter and Eric. Um, and Steve Rogers would be close to the top as well. I remember thinking it was funny that people actually thought that Tony's way was right, that there was an actual consideration for Tony's way in Civil War when it came out. Um, that always humored me. Tony's very Machiavellian outlook, where Steve just always tried to do what's right, good for the majority. Well, not okay, not the same majority as I was talking about with Eric, but you know what I mean. Still doing way too much detail. All right, let's speed this up. Speeding it up, speeding it up. If you get your application of pressure down with the Apple Pencil fairly decently, then jagged lines and stuff become really speedy. I try not to add too many shade lines because I do the colors myself. Shade lines are really like a map for the next person in the process, but I'm always the next person in the process. So, yeah, we good. I really want to put Victor in there too. Victor Von Doom's such a great character. He's probably going to be in there. I'm just making sure I weigh everybody. There's a lot of Marvel characters. Odds are you probably don't know most of them. Oh, what am I doing? I know another one. I know another one. Another one that I grew up with. This sucker was born the same year as me. Actually, it may have been a year after. We were born right around the same time. I think it was a year after. Rocket's the man. Except that he's not. Not only do I think Bradley Cooper was great, um, and his rocket was heavily inspired by Brian Bloom's rocket, which is funny, but Gunn also wrote him very well. He changed his origins up a bit. I'm, of course, not a huge fan of changing the origins, uh, but I'm sure some of it was somebody else's direction. So yeah, they changed Rocket's origins quite a bit from the comics, but the characterization, the personality remained fairly faithful. That being said, um, Rocket did change quite a bit in the comic books around like the time right before he joined the Guardians, or right around the time he joined the Guardians. So he was way more heroic before that, and he became a bit of a Han Solo character at that time. And there was definitely Rocket before there was Rocket and Groot. Long, long time. Oh, look what I didn't do. So, that, I guess. A little bit more. That'll work. This is where I take forever on number 5. Don't I always do that? Rocket in the comics actually has an arch enemy, which he's pretty great too. He is a rabbit. Blackjack. Great character. Well, if I'm putting Victor in here, it's kind of obvious where he's going to be, isn't it? It's got to be number 5. I can't say Wolvie because they started ruining Wolvie in the 90s. Poor Wolverine. Wolverine became the character that you used to show how cool other characters were by having them beat the shit out of him. So before long, Wolverine's phrase of "I'm the best there is at what I do" really just meant that he was the best there is at getting his ass whooped. That much has not changed much. That much has not that has not changed much since that era. Much as I love Marvel, like I said the other day, I think it's time for its end. We're kind of spoiled here in the West. We think that things have to continue forever if we like them. I think Cowboy Bebop was the perfect example of that just ain't so. Definite beginning, definite ending. Great freaking series. Oh man, Saturnine, that's a good Marvel character. She's awesome. The Braddocks, the Braddocks are good Marvel characters. Betsy, mostly Betsy. Ryan's cool, but it's mostly Betsy. Betsy Braddock, what a fantastic Marvel fucking character. She's so cool. And I mean, both of her brothers are cool, but only one of them is really cool. Jamie is really cool. What a cool Marvel character. And you've probably never heard of him. Jamie Braddock is so cool. Betsy's probably my favorite of the family, though. You do probably know who Betsy Braddock is, whether you know the name or not. So Betsy Braddock became a character known as Psylocke. Psylocke has one of the most convoluted comic book histories, if not the most convoluted comic book history. Convoluted is not even a good word for it. Weird, fucking weird. And that's bound to happen with, over 60 years of story. Not her, but Marvel. They're going to have a bunch of shit like that. But, and they do. But Betsy in particular, man. So she got caught up in I guess, the Asian influence of the 90s in the US, or the Asian. We became obsessed with all things Asian in the 90s, really. And she got caught up in that. So they had her soul slash mind put into an Asian body of this woman called Kwannon. So weird. So the Psylocke that is most well known, the sexualized Psylocke, is an Asian body with a British woman's, supposedly, British woman's mind and soul. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes, precisely. But then later, Kawanin. So eventually, Kawanin gets her body back, and Betsy gets her or another Betsy body back. Betsy Braddock body back. So Kawanin comes back, and Betsy comes back. So you have both of them around. But Kawanin ended up inheriting Betsy's psychic abilities. So she had her own ninja training, and Betsy's psychic abilities, but Betsy had her psychic abilities too. And then Betsy took over the mantle of Captain Britain from her brother, Brian Braddock, who became Captain Avalon. Yeah, it sounds really weird, but it's really fucking cool. There is a whole UK Marvel out there that you probably don't know anything about, but is some of the best Marvel stuff that there is. Let me tell you. I am still spending way too much time on this Chaos Marine. I need to wrap this up. Yeah. And ironically, since I'm spending so much time on the detail, I'm actually making more work for myself in the coloring too. So like everything I'm doing right now is making it harder on myself. But Dax, you say you're continuing to do it. I know. I know. I live with me. You don't think I know how horrible I am? Luckily, I did most of the multi-melt yesterday. Just need to put some dings on it. We're going to worry about heraldry and the colors phase. Not now. So not even thinking about that. Oh no, that looks way too. That looks tyrannity. Don't want it to look tyrannity. The multi-melted nozzle is probably going to be pretty lit up, so I don't want to put too much detail on it either. Know thyself. Rachel Summers is a pretty cool Marvel character, but I'm not going to put any fucking Summers. Not one. I'm not going to put any Summers in my top 5. Talk about convoluted. The Summers family is convoluted. I remember at one point, people were worried that Gambit was going to be one of those Summers. He's going to be the lost Summers kid before we knew it was Vulcan. What is that line? Where'd you come from? Fucking Vulcan. Fucking Summers. Fucking Cyclops. Marvel's best villain right there. Hiding as a hero the whole time. I think that's why people like him so much lately. It's because he's such a prick. Okay. Do a little of this, and then we're done. So this is how it used to be with my art all the time. This is what I would do. Just constant line art details. Line art details, cross hatching. Um, I wanted to be a comic book artist, not colorer, artist, sketchist slash inker, mostly sketchist. I wanted to be, you know, Joe Madureira or Jim Lee or Jay Lee, and so I didn't color my own stuff much. When I was younger, I did, like with markers, and sometimes I still would with markers and pencils and stuff. But I just really wanted to be a comic book sketchist, pencilist, and like my faves. So that's what I did. But then I started branching out. Really enjoyed black and whites. Then I started branching out. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Evolve. I actually had a tryout with Marvel. They were going to hire me, but they wanted me to move to the West Coast. Um, was it the West Coast? Or was it the East Coast? They wanted me to move to one of the coasts. I honestly don't remember now. And it was right at the height of the divorce, and I would have never seen my boys. So I said no. Couldn't do that. I cannot remember which coast it was. It may have been the East Coast. Which is funny because one of them lives on the East Coast now. Define irony. Okay, I think we're done. The only thing we might want to do is, you know, widen some of the lines, like here. Some of the tentacle lines are pretty thin. That's really it. This is really the thing to do in modern art anyway. If you're doing modern anime slash comic art, the darker slash thicker lines for your perspective, like for the subject of the picture, are pretty standard. So you want to do this anyway. If you're trying to stick to what people want. So if you're wanting people to hire you more for their expectations, not your style, then you'll want to focus on that. And I do that sometimes. I'm doing it now to show you. I don't really care. This is going to be a token, so it doesn't hurt me. It actually probably helps me out a little bit to do this. So we'll do it right quick. We may not get to lighting and shading today, but I kind of assumed we wouldn't finish lighting and shading. So I wasn't too worried if we didn't get to lighting and shading, if that makes sense. I figured I'd be doing another one tomorrow on lighting and shading regardless. So that's one reason I haven't been too hung up today on anything particularly. Or why I was hung up, maybe? Whatever I was supposed to say there is what I said. Oh, see? I'm catching stuff while I'm doing this. Oh, I'm catching stuff. Probably do the same thing here. Get his kegger. Oh, missed this. Do that right quick. You know, it's funny. We talked about Kristen Stewart on the stream yesterday, and she didn't make it into my top five, but we spent a lot of time talking about her. And then I had one of my games that I run last night, and we spent a lot of time talking about her there too. Girl gets a lot of bad press, and I don't get it. I don't think she's weird at all. I think that the majority of people are weird, and they try to portray her as weird rather than themselves. I think that's where that's coming from. I fucking love Kristen Stewart. Her idiosyncrasies, everything about her. I love her. Maybe she should have gone to my top five. All right, I think we're done. I also think I just smudged my glasses. I did. Not done. We're not done. I think we're done with the line art phase. That's what we're done with. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a layer. I don't know why. That's because it's layer 2 because I deleted the sketch layer. Um, Man, the left side does not look much more demonified. My whole point was that his left side was supposed to look more demonic than his right side, and you cannot tell when you back out at all. Call that an epic fail. Anyway, c'est la vie. Moving on. So we add a layer. What we're going to do is some little, do we need to do an intermission? Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to keep going. If somebody needs an intermission, they can let me know. So we're going to select reference. We're going to select our line art. We're going to hit reference. Whoops, I see something else I forgot. Okay. So that's going to be like that. Nope, 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 that's an arm. All right, so this. This. Nope, that angle's wrong. It's more like this, which means you're not going to see that one. Okay. And then this one's going to be like this, I think. We should have done this in the sketch. Should have done this in the sketch. Don't know why I didn't do this in the sketch. I probably just forgot then, like I forgot now. Nope, too far ahead. So when I'm doing this, I have to remember the perspective on everything. So the in-between is going to be getting smaller. The hole? What do you call these things? The segment? It's not a segment. I guess it's just a hole. The holes are going to be getting smaller, so gotta remember all that shit. And then it's going to be like this, but it actually doesn't go in that far. It's going to be like that. Like that. Like that. Like that. Now we don't have to get super detailed because, you know, colors, coloring and shading is going to cover most of this up. It's going to be so small. But we do need to get the right proportions. Much better. Okay. Now we're done. For reals this time, right? So, since we've selected reference there, since we've selected reference on that layer, what it's going to do is it's going to use that line art as borders. It's going to use it as borders for what, you say, Dax? Well, it's going to use them as borders for whatever you want to um, drop in there. So, our predominant color is going to be word bearer red, which is, I think, right around there. So, we would drop it, and we're going to call that a fail. How did that happen? I don't see any broken lines. Maybe I missed. I did not miss. Alright, so there's a broken line somewhere. Maybe right there. Maybe right there. Maybe right there. Last episode I talked about filling in lines, broken lines and filling in lines, and this is what happens when you don't make sure that you close your lines. So we can try that again. Word bearer red. Alright, so it was one of those three. So, and then, so like we'll put it, oh, I missed some right there too, dang it. Okay. So when you fill it in, so let's say we do it that, oh, dadgummit, are you serious? I'm only caring because I'm trying to show you something. So you drop it, it says you want to continue filling, you hit yes, and it'll show you that check mark knowing that you're on color drop now. So now you can just target areas, and you can target areas where you did fill in your lines, and yeah, and just color drop. You got to be kidding me. Color drop. Color drop. Color drop. Color drop. Damn. Color drop. Damn. Color drop. Nope. I knew that one was gonna be I knew that one was gonna be bad, and that one. Color drop. Yay! Yay! All right. So many in a row. I see where I left some lines open there. Oh. Okay. Haha. Oh. No. Okay. So the rest, you either go through and you fix your lines. I do want to fix a couple of these lines because they're going to affect me later. So like I didn't connect that because I did it after the Tyrannid. But that'll affect me later. So I'm going to go ahead and mess with that one. Everything else I don't really care too much about. We can just color them by hand. Unless I find them all. That might actually be all of them. We'll see. Let's see how many we fix. Go back, try to drop. Hey, continue filling, yes. Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Something's missing there. His upper arm is missing. Gotta fix that. Okay. The rest we'll just do by hand. So we take the color drop off. What's up, Dylan? Yeah, I can tell it's you because it says Dylan Sanchez. What's going on, man? I'll back up so you can see your boy. We're on his word bearer red as we speak. And I'm trying to convince myself that I shouldn't put Betsy Braddock as my fifth. You like Sabretooth? Wow, Creed is cool, man. Especially if you follow the comics. Creed is cool. Victor Creed is fucking cool. Um, Man, he tricked the entire X-Men for a good while. He made them all think that he was feral, that Psylocke crushed his mind and reverted him to a feral state. So they like took him in and they were taking care of him, and Boom Boom like was treating him like a pet and shit, but he fooled them all. He had some good stories, man. I love Victor. I love Victor Creed. Sabretooth is cool. Not one of my top fives, but I can understand it being one of somebody's top fives. I'm just trying to, I'm basically trying to weigh whether I like Victor Von Doom or Betsy Braddock more. It's probably going to be Betsy. Oh shit, I don't have any females in my top five anyway. So let's go ahead and put Betsy in there. Wow. Yeah, but that's got to be it. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. The belly mouth on Chaos Marines always makes me think about when they take their armor off. Like when they take their armor off, do they have a hole in their stomach? Or does the mouth stay behind? But it is cool. I do dig the mouths on the armor. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put Betsy in here. Finishing out my top five. Rounding out our top 5 day, Betsy Braddock. AKA Psylocke, AKA Captain Britain. One T? I think it's one T. Although her actual name is. There we go. All right. Rounding out our top five. Can't believe she's my only female, but I also can. Marvel's got a lot of good females. If I were to do a top 10, Emma Frost would be in there. Mystique would probably be in there. So the majority of my bottom five, um, the majority of my 6 through 10 is probably females. You probably got Rogue, Emma Frost, Mystique, and Storm. Although I love Remy, I might try and put Gambit in there. But for my top five, I absolutely love Betsy Braddock. And with the MCU, which I hope the MCU just restarts, if I'm honest, I hope they just completely reboot it. But if they cast someone as Betsy, man, who would I cast as Betsy? They'd have to be able to play Posh. They'd have to be able to play Posh well. I'd want them to get a Brit, or close to. I'm gonna have to think about that. Now that the top five is done, I'm gonna be thinking about who to cast as these characters. I did like Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth. Talking about Sabretooth, he was probably the only good part of the Origins Wolverine movie. I loved him as Sabretooth. Of course, I just loved Liev Schreiber. I saw him in Caught Stealing recently. He was pretty funny in that. And sad. It's a very funny and sad film. Ooh, the line for the keg is off. How did that happen? I don't know if that was a wild line or I did that on purpose. I don't know. That's bad. Good enough. Now, Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, that was just a travesty. Just a travesty. I can't even say that he did that bad just because there was so little of it. He just did nothing. He did nothing. Again, MCU just needs to restart everything. And find a role for Priyanka Chopra. Love her. Oh, there's the line. That's the broken line right there. We'll fix that so that I don't have that problem when we do the skeletons. Now, typically, if you outline like this, you could drop your color in here, but since we've got it on reference, if I were to do that, it would read the borders that are established by the referenced layer, not the actual colors that I just put on. So once you stop using the reference for your borders, make sure to remember to turn it off, because otherwise you won't be able to use the standard outline and color drop tactic. Of course, if you go through and just make thick as shit lines, you don't have to worry about it, right? Like here, that would have caused issues later. I might go ahead and make that knee pad red also. Oh yeah, where's my broken line here? Where's my broken line here? I don't know. For those of you in the chat, Dylan is actually the player of this fellow in our live stream campaign. So when he says stuff like, I like his belly, it makes me all squishy. All right, so now I should just be able to drag, yep, it's fixed. And should probably just be able to, yep. Yeah, that looks cool. And those are dark enough. I should just be able to, yep, nope, of course. Okay. The good thing about this is it makes me color more, and coloring, as I always say in the majority of these videos, coloring is cathartic. See that section, the little section that I just colored, the one before that? How it doesn't have any details in it? I was going to say I should put some details in here to chaosify it, because I didn't put any in that one. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that, because also not putting stuff in there would be chaotic. Let's see if we can, yay, all right. Damn it, hold the hell. I'm going to go ahead and fix that one, because that will affect me later. It's that right there. I'm basically just making sure I get all the red, the important red. This part could be, oh, I forgot the chains. I was going to put more chains over there. I need to do that right quick. I saw that earlier, and I was going to do more chains. 2 chains? And I forgot. So let's put some chains. And I also highly recommend dirtying up your chains too, but since these chains are so small, you know, like that, shit like that, since they're so small, it doesn't really matter. like that. I typically dirty my chains, but they're just so small this time. I'm not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent. I'm gonna go ahead and do this part, but I'll show you why later. Ah, see, I almost did the standard color drop there because I did, I outlined it. But since I have reference selected, it's not gonna do it. So if his armor was not mutated, this portion would be Wordbearer's red. That's why I'm doing it, even though it is mutated, because of how I'm going to color the mutations themselves. Um, Not that part, though. The inside of the mouth doesn't count. So let me get this. Nor do the teeths. And that's just forward-facing logic and experience. Is all that is. Okay. I think we just need to get this hand. That's it. Which we might be able to. Yes. I missed. Okay. And even though I didn't make the Tyrannid aquatic, I'll still make it a Chronos Tyrannid because that's the Tyranids that they're dealing with. The multi-melta sometimes carries the color of the Legion, so we'll go ahead and do that too. Give it some Word Bearer red. I'm not going to worry about coloring the rib things red because they're coming out of the metallic, not the red. Okay. I think that's all I want to do. Maybe the turbine? No, I kind of want to do the turbine black. If I do the turbine black, no, I'll do the turbine red. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we'll do the turbine red. Or both. We'll do it both. Okay. And then we're going to need an Imperial Herald's Gray. Which I usually make right around there. I actually think I saved one on the bottom right. I think that's Imperial Herald's Gray. But that I made. Because I'm perfectionist. But so then you want to make the framework and stuff like that, Imperial Herald's gray. Did I do another layer? Yes, I did. Okay. Now, some word bearer um, hosts use black, like they do the word bearer red and black, um, and even do away with the Imperial Herald gray altogether. Imperial Heralds is what the word bearers used to be. That's what their legion name was originally. And they had this gray. So some of the word bearer hosts do away with the gray and have a black, but the one that they are in is not one of them. So I'm using the gray. I probably could have dropped this since we have the perspective on or reference on, but I don't know why I didn't. Let's see. Yep. So color fill, yes. Ding, 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 ding. I sound like a trolley. Ding, ding. Yeah, ding. Actually, we'll do this. That's more fun. Damn. Well, actually, did it do it? Close. I'm not going to worry about changing the colors of the rivets. Usually I make the rivets a little bit different so they stand out, but in this particular case, I am not going to do that. Oh, I missed some red there, didn't I? Okay. Actually, I may not. Yeah, we'll keep it. Part of me wanted to make the belt buckle black. Part of me still does. I think we'll keep it like that, though. Okay, let's see if I fix those lines. I did. And there, yeah, 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 yeah. Cool. Cool. Looking good, looking good, looking good, looking good. Damn. Oh man, I just realized that Betsy's name is all sorts of in front of y'all's business here. We'll fix that. Zing. Oh man, Eric's was too. What the hell was I thinking? Whoopsie. There. Problem solved. I think I missed some red there. And when you've got a picture as busy as this, I mean, it makes sense that you're going to miss stuff, so don't get too um, shaken up over it. Don't get too shook. We might be at a point we turn off the reference anyway. Maybe might do the Melta first, then turn off the reference. Oops, I don't know what happened there. Yeah. No. Let's do... Okay, Oh, missed some red there. I'm going to go ahead and do the red that I missed. There was some over at the skulls as well. Because I think that's the last of the red. Right, where was I? Some right there. Is that it? I thought there was one more. Oh, yeah, right there. Could have put more chains in there, but eh. Eh. And I guess we can make this, at least this part, we'll make this Imperial Herald Gray. Okay. And now a lot of this is going to be gray, even though, let's see if I can, no. Yeah, this is not going to work. I'm going to show you what happens. Yeah, not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off reference. We're going to go back here. Some of this I want to be black. Some of it I want to be Imperial Herald's gray. So we're going to outline what we want to be gray, if not color it outright like I just did. Okay, and then drop. Boom. You just make your border and drop it in, but the reference has to be off to do that, or it will still use the reference layer as the border. So then I decide how much we want to be Imperial Gray and how much we want to be black. I think that should be Imperial Gray. You use the same logic when you're doing your models, by the way. When you're painting your models, it's pretty much the same way. Oh, what do I want to be this? What do I want to be that? How much of my chapter do I want to be specifically different? How much I don't? I don't know why I'm British. It's because we were talking about Betsy. "20 years ago, I would have said Rona Mitra should play Betsy Braddock. I don't know who should play her now. Oh, she's getting a little old, but oh, what's her name? The chick that played Peggy, Peggy Carter. They've already used her though. Oh, it's not fair. They already used her in the MCU. It'd be kind of redundant, but she would have been a fantastic Betsy Braddock. God, what is her name? I know her name. Um, Rebecca Ferguson would be good as Betsy Braddock. They'd have to do it like, well, she's kind of older too now though. She's probably like 40 or close to. See, they're gonna have to get a new Betsy that's younger. and Evolver for years. Because Betsy went, like I said, Betsy went through some shit. Rebecca Ferguson could have done a good Betsy Braddock, though. If they just introduced Psylocke slash Captain Britain into the MCU now, before I say it should end, maybe Rebecca Ferguson with purple hair. Oh, missed some red there too. Okay, I think the rest may be mostly black. Oh, we got to do the helmet. So yeah, I wanted to turn reference off before we did the helmet because it's going to be another case of having to outline. So outline everything you want to be in that color. Some of it we've already done. And I'm including the horns, not because I want the horns to be this color, but you'll see why later. I knew I missed something, but I don't know what I missed. That's what's sad. What did I miss? Right there, maybe? Let's give it a whirl. Bing. Getting close, getting close, getting close. All right. Let's do some more metals. So I'm gonna keep the Imperial Herald Gray layer as its own, and then I'm gonna do. Actually, we'll do the black first. I don't really ever use a black. What I do is I get dark shades of different hues. Because if you use straight black, then some of the layer types that I use during my coloring and shading do not pick it up. So I get a good black, and I use this for all of the padding, because they basically have Under Armour. The Astartes do. And it always looks good with a nice black. Whether you're doing visual art or whether you're talking about the miniatures. And where you put your layers is important as well. So layers that you put on top, of course, they're going to cover whatever's underneath them. So layer placement is important. Maybe the hoses. Do I want the hoses, or do I want the hoses? No, we'll keep to the Under Armour. So we're going to keep the Under Armour all black everywhere. I've been battling with the pouches. I thought about making the pouches red. Um, a lot of times when people are coloring their miniatures, they just make the pouches brown. A lot of times when they're doing quick painting, they have a match. So being like Wordbearer Red. But I haven't really decided yet, if I'm being honest, because I'm kind of torn. But I think I'm pretty sure that I want them to be a different color. I was hoping that I would know by the time I got to them, or got everything else done. See how everything else looked. Is that all? No. And then this whole area. Again, I left this area open because we're going to do some cool lighting effects with it. That's why it's not very detailed. There's a couple areas like this on this guy that are not very detailed because we're going to do some cool lighting effects. Okay. Ah. All right. And there's going to be a lot of this same color on the metals layer. So I'm probably going to go straight into that because I think that's all the padding. That's part of a finger. Okay. Yep. And the reason I wanted that to be separate is because the padding does not, it's not going to look like a metal. So materials are important when you're doing colors and we're doing lighting, mostly when you're doing lighting and shading. Um, I'm going to say the majority of artists don't talk about materials. They just show you how to shade and light. The problem with that is different materials have different luster. So if you're, if one person is wearing cotton and the other person is wearing leather, the luster is going to be different. Now, if it's like a suede leather, then no. But the cotton and the suede are going to have a similar luster. But if you've got a standard cotton and you've got like standard leather, treated leather, they're going to have completely different lusters. The cotton probably won't have much of a luster at all, where the leather is going to have a high luster. It's going to pick up light a lot easier. So material matters. That matters when you're doing the detail lines, and it matters when you're doing the shading and lighting. There's my essay on material. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do my metals layer. And you can name these too, by the way. I'm not naming them, but you can do rename and metals. Boom. I should probably do that more than I do, because sometimes I'll have like 47 layers. I'm like, where did I put So this is the same black that I'm going to use for my metal black, but it's going to have a different luster than the Under Armour. That's why I wanted the different layers. Although, I am going to use it up here. I'm going to use it up here, right there. We're probably gonna have some lighting there too if I know me. If I know me, I'll probably have lighting there too. But yeah. Okay, metals. Like I said, I want part of the turbine to be black because that looks cool. Missed some red right there. Let's get that fixed. Okay, and then I don't want this to be black, but I want that to be black. Actually, I don't want that to be a lustery black. So we're going to do that on the same black, same layer as the Under Armour, but I don't want it to be shiny. Yeah. All right. And then black. And since we don't have our reference on, we outline it, we color drop. Black. that was going to be black. Let's make the chains black. Looks like we missed some red there. We'll fix that right quick. For some reason, I just really love black chains. I don't even understand it, but I do. After I fix this red, I should probably go back to the line art, because I think there's some problems there as well. Okay. Right there. I'll do the chain color there. Chain color there and there. Oh, there's the red I missed earlier. I knew there was another spot. It's right there. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the black. Now we need a good bolt gun metal. Maybe like there. Let's see. Oh, I forgot I took reference off. Actually, I want that to be different. Let's try it here. A little bit more. Probably not quite gray enough, but it doesn't look bad either. Let's try. Yeah, that looks good. Slightly different from the Imperial Herald Gray, which works. Oh man, yeah, Dylan, if you're still listening, so I read some stuff about what they're doing in Diablo 4 next week. Necromancer improvements. Crazy, man, crazy. I love a good Necromancer. And the Necromancer in Diablo 4 is getting a complete overhaul next week. It's kind of insane. Looking forward to it. I think maybe this pipe in this gray, but... Or not pipe, this piece in the gray. But the pipe darker. Yeah, I think so. Anything else I want in this gray? so we can do in this. And this one's not going to be as shiny as some of the other metals. It's not going to. It's kind of a um, almost kind of a steel. Well, not steel. I'm looking for not lead. Man, after having done the buckle and the Imperial Herald's Grey, it looks like I should do the chest piece, the eyepiece, and Imperial Herald's Grey too. Can do it in black. We'll do it in that black is what we'll do. Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, you touch up the red underneath it though. And that's something you're just going to have to run into as well. Since you're using pressure sensitivity, sometimes you're going to not pressure enough. Okay. Well, while I'm thinking about that, I don't think I wanted that same black. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. I was worried it was going to look bad, but it doesn't look bad. Yeah, it looks kind of good. Okay. So then I know that for this, I want something right around there. It might be a little too dark. Something like that. A little more. Right around there. Okay. Yeah, that's what we want. Right. Think so. Part of me actually wants to do this layer separate. I might do it. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this layer a little separate than the other metals. That'll let us play with it too. Because it's gonna be scorched. Scorching is really fun. Um, with the other metals, we're gonna do some rust. But with this one, we're gonna scorch it. So stay tuned. You'll learn how to scorch today on Daxula. I can tell it's Friday because everybody got busy. Yeah, I think that works. It might be a little too brassy. So we're going to select it. We're going to go to color fill. And then we're going to try and get it where we, yeah, right there. We're going to try and get it where we want it. And then we're going to get that black again. And we're going to hit the holes in the black. Because again, we know we're going to have some lighting tricks. So since we're going to play with the lighting on this, we're going to hit the holes in black. We don't want to leave them the same, because if we were to leave them the same metal and then we played with the lighting effects, it would look like complete and utter shit. It really would. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So we want to scorch those two, which means we want to go here, we want to hit select, we want to take off color fill, and we want to grab just that part of the metals layer, and then we're going to 3-finger, swipe, cut, What? Oh, because it was... Oh, that's right. They're down here. That's Imperial Herald Gray. Swipe, cut. There we go. And we're going to paste. And then we're going to merge down. There we go. All right. So now we've got the whole nozzle on one layer because we're going to scorch it later. Um, maybe not today, but later. But, and I also want that same color, though, on the metals layer. So let's find it again. Because I want the keg to be that, and I know it's not a keg. It's just a barrel. I know, but I don't care. It's my fucking video. I can say keg. It's my picture, and I'll keg if I want to. Gus, are you hungry? Gus, are you hungry? Because I'm hungry. You asleep? He was asleep. I woke him up. You hungry? I'm hungry. You want to say hi? Come say hi to everybody. Come here. Come here, say hi. Come here, say hi. Come say hi. Dylan's over there. It's my dire palm. That's my dire palm. Okay, I think that's no, it's not all. It's not all the metal. I was also going to do this same color on there. Actually, that doesn't look that great on the barrel. I thought it was. We'll keep it, but it's not what I want to use for these coils. We're going to do that for the coils. Same layer. Yep, that's much better. Carrie said, "Hey, Gus." He's already laid back down, pouting now. All right. Yep. So let's do. And technically, their armor is metal too. It's like a ceramite, but it doesn't luster much because they paint it. We'll probably still do some like painting effects where it breaks the paint and stuff like that. But oh, so the same thing with the um, what are they called? The IG, the Astra Militarum dude. We'll give him Sea Devil armor. Is what we'll do. So his armor is Sea Devil. And we'll battle damage the armor, but don't need to worry about that right now. That should stick out well against everything else as well. Or two, also. Indeed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that sticks out well. And I missed some armor there, didn't I? A spiky bit. Now you can make, when you're doing skeletons, you can, yes, I said skeleton on purpose. When you're making skeletons, you can do your teeth different colors if you want. Um, it doesn't really matter too much this particular time for multiple reasons. For one, there's no telling how old the skeleton is. Um, and yes, I'm going to keep saying skeleton. And for two, did I miss something there? Maybe not. For two, it's going to be really small, so it's not that big a deal. And it should be lighter, but we'll change it in a second. Since the backdrop is so bright, the lighter we make it, the harder it's going to be to see. So we'll go ahead and make it this color now and then change it when we get done. And yes, also different species, skeletons, may be different shades. That also is a thing. I don't think anybody's going to give me shit for it. I'm not going to give me shit for it. And I've already spent way too much detail on this particular piece. Oh, I forgot about the studs. Oh, also forgot about that. Which means I forgot about that. Okay. I might do pizza for lunch. Kind of sounds good. We can go ahead and do these. So we'll do all the teeth and we'll do all the bones at once for simplicity's sake. It's not going to look bad. It's still going to pop because they are spread out so well. And because it's going to be so small, and because the lighting and shading is going to cover some of it. So this is one of those things where when you're illustrating, you learn where you can and want to cut corners. This is where we're going to cut corners. Like this skull here is probably a Gene Stealer cultist skull, so it should probably be a little different color. And perfectionist that I am, I may go back later and change it up a little bit. I tend to make my Gene Stealer cult skeletons a little greenish, like I put a little green hue in there, just a little bit, so they come out kind of minty, which I dig. So I'll probably do that later. But we can do that over this layer as well. We can actually use this layer to do that. Just like we're going to use some of the armor layers to do the mutations. Oh, nope, that's bad. I forgot about that black there. Gotta go around that. around that. Gotta go around these. Yeah, we're just about to run out of juice. I'm gonna go until the pad does. Or doesn't. Doesn't. Alright, that should be... Yep. Oh, oh, oh. Alright. Nope. Got these. And you can also, honestly, you can go back when, like when we do the layer touch-ups, which is basically what the mutations and stuff are going to be. So when we go through and we do those layer touch-ups, they're just clipping mask layers is all they're going to be. And when we do those, oh, I forgot that metal. Shit. When we do those, we can also play with the hues. Like on the some of the teeth, maybe the chaosified teeth, we might want to do some, pinkish, but we'll worry about that later. So we select, we make sure color fill is on, and then we just get it where we want it. Maybe there. I'd say there. That's where we want it. And you can turn this off to verify that's where you want it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know y'all are busy. And yeah, he's now laying asleep, but he went back to sleep beside me. So some of the mutations will have their own layer, but some of them will not. Um, the eyeballs, we're going to do their own layer. We might have time to do that. We'll see if the pad will let us do the eyeballs. Get a nice yellow. Yeah. And we'll do an eyeball layer. I generally make my eyeball layers the second layer. I don't know why, but I seem to always make my eyeball layers the second layer. It's the funniest thing. And the reason I always do an eyeball layer is because you never know when you want your eyeballs to shine. I do a lot of shiny eyeballs. So, well, I made these eyes completely different. So unless I go back and make that one look like the other one, which I might do. Yeah, I probably will. So we'll select, we'll keep it on color fill. We'll find the yellow that we want. Right there. That's what we want. So yeah, I'll probably go back and I'll make that one eye look like the one below it. But I guess it's time to decide on what color the pouches are going to be. Nah, maybe not. I can do some of the other shit. We'll do those hands. I know Dylan's a Slanesh fan. So maybe make the hands purple or like a reddish purple. We'll do that. Do like a reddish purple. He's a lot like I was at his age, actually. When I was Dylan's age, I was heavily into all the elven species and Slanesh as a chaos god. That was me. Same age. As I've gotten older, I've gone dwarf and corn. I think I just saw some red that I missed. Nah, maybe not. A couple of the Chaos Gods use tentacles, so Slanesh is one of them. I don't know that I like the purple for the fingers. I think I'll keep that purple for the tentacles, but for the fingers, I think we're going to try something else. Let's play with it. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. Oh, that's really good. I really like that. That's cool. We're going to keep that. And then we'll use this purple for the tentacles. It'll be tentacular. We'll use it for the tentsticles as well. Now, not the whole tentacle though. So and we'll just do it over it. Yeah. We're going to do a clipping layer here. So you'll get to see it on both videos. We'll go ahead and we'll grab all the tentacle and the tentsticles. Um, the tentsticles are those little ball things. Okay. Even though the tentacles are going to be multiple colors. We're going to go ahead and we're going to color them now. We're going to border, we're going to drop, or outline, whatever you want to call it. Outline. Clean up my jagged line. Outline. Drop. Oh, well. There's that. So, tomorrow, we should be able to finish the piece because it's almost done. Um, we'll do clipping layers on those for the mutations and the demon parts and whatnot to touch up the layers below them. And then we'll do the shading and lighting. And we're not gonna, I mean, I may show you the shading trick again, but it is on my other videos, so if you want to see the quick shading tips, they're in the other videos. Um, and lighting is just the opposite version of that. But tomorrow we'll do those clipping layers. Tomorrow we'll do lighting and shading. Tomorrow I'll have a different top 5. As always, if you want to put your top 5 in the comments, please do. I'm curious to see everybody's top 5s. If you have requests for top 5s or suggestions for top 5s, feel free to put those in the comments. If you have any questions on Procreate or digital art that you would like me to answer for you or help you with, excuse me, feel free to put those in the comment. Or anything. I'm pretty easy. I'll talk about anything. And I think that's it. Yeah, there's also a couple of in the description. While you're in the comments in the description, there's some links to event.cruises, the Battle Barge, and all that. And there's some links for me, but I will catch you.